Hello, and welcome to my channel, where I'll be telling you all kinds of strange stories ranging from true crime to some much less believable, although just as fascinating, tales. For today's video, we have the shocking case of Katherine Knight. Listen in and see what you think. The majority of couples' quarrels culminate in an apology, but murder and mutilation were the ultimate consequence for Katherine Mary Knight. In February 2000, this Australian slaughterhouse worker slashed her boyfriend at least 37 times with a butcher knife before chopping him up, cooking him, and preparing to feed him to his own children. Even before this heinous murder, Katherine Knight's life had been marred by violence and sexual abuse, foreshadowing the carnage to come. Knight was born in Tenterfield, Australia, on the 24th of October 1955 as the result of a scandalous affair between her mother, Barbara Ruffin, and her father, Ken Knight. Ruffin was not only a mother of 4 sons from a previous relationship, but she also met Knight via her husband. When their secret affair became public, it shook their tiny conservative community to its core. Knight's turbulent upbringing didn't get any better after this rocky start. Her father was a violent alcoholic who raped her mother on a daily basis. Knight says that she was sexually abused by numerous family members until she was 11 years old. Knight was known at school as a bully who tormented younger students. She left school at the age of 15 without ever learning to read or write and went to work in a clothes factory. A year later, she got her dream job at a slaughterhouse or abattoir, where she dismembered dead animals. In Bloodstain, a book by journalist Peter Lalor, he stated that she liked her work so much she put her first pair of butcher's knives above her bed, just in case she ever needed them. And in the end, she did. Knight met David Kellett, a violent alcoholic who, like her father, was prone to fistfights while working at the abattoir. Knight, who was used to this kind of violence, shocked her new boyfriend by joining in on one of his drunken fights. He quickly learned, though, that Knight's fists could do more than just a little harm, and he soon felt himself being controlled by her. She persuaded him to marry her in 1974. He was extremely drunk the whole day, and her mother cautioned him about her daughter's anger, claiming she had a screw loose somewhere. Knight and Kellett consummated their marriage 3 times on their wedding night. When he fell asleep, Knight demanded a 4th round and became irritated by her new husband's fatigue. So, she began strangling him. Kellett awoke and managed to fend off Knight. Despite the fact that she tried to murder him just one day after their marriage, the couple remained together for another 10 years. The marriage, however, was far from perfect. Kellett was often adulterous, and he even abandoned his wife and 2 children in the middle of the night. Knight threatened numerous people with a stolen axe after finding out about one of Kellett's affairs. She also put their 2-month-old baby on the local railway lines just before a train was scheduled. Luckily, the train did not arrive and the infant was saved. After witnesses observed her aggressively pushing and swinging her second child in a stroller down a busy street, she was diagnosed with postnatal depression. Katherine Knight spent a few months in a mental institution where she informed staff she planned to murder the mechanic who had repaired Kellett's vehicle since it allowed him to leave her. Despite the threat, Kellett returned to Knight after she was discharged from the hospital. Their reconciliation, however, was short-lived, and Knight went through a time of profound sorrow when Kellett ultimately left her for good. After this, Katherine Knight had a brief relationship with David Saunders, a local miner, soon after her divorce with Kellett in 1986. Saunders moved in with her and her 2 children within a few months. He kept his own apartment though, and Knight grew jealous and suspicious of what he did while she wasn't around. This relationship, like her previous ones, soon became poisonous and aggressive. She even cut the neck of his 2-month-old dingo dog in front of him at one time, simply to show him what she was capable of. Nevertheless, they remained together and had a daughter a year later. Saunders, however, abandoned Knight soon after the birth because she had tried to murder him with a pair of scissors. Next, she met a man called John Chillingworth. They were married for 3 years and had 1 child, Eric, Knight's first son. While no violent events occurred throughout their relationship, it did end when Chillingworth discovered Knight was having an affair with a man called John Price. Katherine Knight and John Price's romance started off without any hiccups. He had 2 older children who appeared to adore Knight and who lived with him, and he earned enough money as a miner to make her comfortable. They moved in together in 1995 and everything was going well. But she became angry when she proposed to him and he refused. To get her own back, Knight falsely accused Price of stealing money from the business he worked at. This got him dismissed, and although this seemed to be the end of the relationship, they did begin seeing one another a few months later. This time though, he refused to let her move back in. An altercation between Price and Knight in February 2000 ended with her trying to stab him in the chest. In order to keep his children safe, Price obtained a restraining order against her. Near the end of the month, Price expressed worry about his safety, telling his colleagues that if he ever went missing, it was because Knight had murdered him. He had reason to be concerned. On the 29th of February 2000, Price returned home from work and went through his regular ritual of checking in with the neighbours before retiring at 11. Knight returned home soon after, ate supper, watched TV, bathed and went upstairs. Katherine Knight then grabbed a butcher knife from next to her bed where she kept them all the time and stabbed Price 37 times. According to the evidence, he awoke during the assault but was unable to fend her off. John Price died as a result of his injuries, and Knight took his corpse downstairs, skinned him, and hanged him from a meat hook in the living room. Then she beheaded him, chopped up chunks of his corpse to cook with potatoes, pumpkins, beetroot, courgette, cabbage, squash, and gravy. She then prepared a dish for herself, but the half-discarded contents subsequently discovered at the murder site show that she was unable to eat it. After this, exhausted after her excerpts, she then collapsed next to Price's decapitated, mangled body, swallowed a huge quantity of pills, and passed out. Price's colleagues followed his warning the following morning and phoned the police when he failed to show up for work. The cops came to discover Katherine Knight's horrific murder scene and arrested the unconscious Knight immediately. When she awoke, she said she had no recollection of the previous night. Price's head was found in the kitchen, cooking in a pot of vegetables on the stove. The police discovered 2 full plates, each labelled with a name, on the table. The cops were shocked to learn that Knight intended to feed John Price's body parts to his children. Katherine Knight was charged with Price's murder despite her assertions that she had no memory of what happened the night he died. Her trial began in October of 2001, although it did not last long. Knight altered her plea to guilty for unknown reasons, apart from the fact that she did it, and the case was adjourned without trial. That day she was taken to jail, and the court ordered that her documents be marked never to be released. For the first time in history, a woman was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in Australia. Knight maintains her innocence and refuses to take responsibility for her conduct to this day. Katherine Knight has challenged her sentence many times and has been rejected immediately, every time. And today, she is still incarcerated at Silverwater Women's Correctional Centre on a life sentence. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you enjoyed the content, click the subscribe and like buttons so you can receive more content like this strange story every week. See you next time.